With Spider-Man Far From Home officially bringing the MCU third phase closer, the fog is finally starting to lift on what Marvel plans to do next. We've known for a while that an Eternals movie was on the cards, and with the recent trailer release we are sure, and for obvious reasons, cannot wait. Honestly, it's a bold move, even for the studio, because they have previously taken risks with projects like the Guardians of the Galaxy. And this is mainly because of two reasons. The first being that all these characters are made around a particular concept which has the ability to rewrite everything we have known about the MCU, and the second being, the Eternals are those characters that prompt the question, who are they again? But don't worry, before the movie hits the screens, we have got you a little something that will cover your bases, giving you pretty much all the required information. But before we go any further, like this video and subscribe to our channel, also hit the bell icon to not miss out on our videos. Coming to the first and foremost question, who are the Eternals? To answer that question, let us go back a few years to 1970. The Eternals debuted in 1976 in the comic book world. They were created from genetic experiments conducted on early humans by the Celestials, who were a race of godlike beings who travel the cosmos. After visiting an ancient version of Earth, the Celestials were able to create two divergent humanoid species, the monstrous Deviants, and the superpowered Eternals. Imbued with cosmic powers and near immortality, the Eternals built concealed cities across the Earth and started living in secret amongst humans, watching over them and protecting them from the Deviants. The idea behind all this is that the Eternals inspired humans' earliest conception of gods. Just notice, the Eternals live on Olympia, and their name are twists on classical mythology, so that Mercury becomes Macquarie, Zeus becomes Zerus. It's their names that are the real deal. With time, a rift arose between the Eternals, while one faction led by Uranos believed they should rule over mankind. The other faction led by Kronos believed they should not. All this led to a civil war which eventually led to Uranos' defeat. This prompted him to form his own civilization on Uranus and then eventually on Titan. Back on Earth, when Kronos froze in a cosmic energy accident, his sons Zerus and Alers formed a Uni-Mind, which is a mind meld that allows multiple Eternals to act as one being in order to determine a new ruler. Zerus I and Alers left Earth to avoid future conflicts, settling down in the Eternals colony on Titan, where he met Suisan and repopulated the planet. We are guessing, you might have heard about two of their famous offsprings, Starfall, who goes on to join the Avengers, and Thanos. Yes, that Thanos who wiped off half the population with a snap. And yes, Thanos is actually an Eternal with Deviant Syndrome, which causes him to look like a CrossFit version of God instead of an orthodoxly godlike being. So, there is a neat little connection to the MCU we see right there. If you've seen the trailer of the Eternals, you've already witnessed Angelina Jolie in her full-blown superhero avatar. Let us tell you a little bit about her. Thena is a direct cousin of Thanos. Remember Zerus, Alers' brother? Thena is his only daughter with his wife Sibel. Thena has super strength, super healing, she can fire energy blasts and make weapons appear out of thin air. She's got it all. But, how could the Eternals work in the MCU? The footing for the Eternals has already been laid, and we have already met our first example of the species and have had a glimpse of a few Celestials in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Nowhere is the base of operations and is severed as a celestial head floating in space. And Marvel has proven time and again that relatively unknown characters can actually upgrade the story because they offer a blank canvas to draw upon. But can the movie Eternals find its own niche, something the comics have not quite managed? While there's no Mount Olympus in the MCU, the Inhumans and their Kree origins have been a chief part of the TV universe. The myth meets science fiction angle has been used and imbibed in our minds through the Thor movies. But, if we are looking for answers in the comics, there is one possible solution that lies in Neil Gaiman and John Romita Jr.'s Eternals. The 2006 miniseries itself may be a little bumpy. It takes on the promise of the very first Eternals cover, When Gods Walk the Earth, and rephrases it to focus on the idea of mythical beings existing in our modern world. Herein, Eternals begin the series living as regular humans, forgetting who they are. Makkari is now Mark Curry, Ikaris is Ike Harris, and Sersi, she's still Sersi, but obviously living as a wannabe party planner and has no idea of her powers or past life. Now, they are the only names you need to know. Ikaris was the first Eternal introduced who sits as the archetype of straight arrow team leader. Given Ikaris flies around in a blue, red, and yellow costume, and battles with his eye-beams, he can be considered the Superman of the Eternals. Makkari is the more interesting one. Very true to his name, he has a similar mantra with Sonic the Hedgehog. He is super fast. In the original series, Makkari is an engineer, continuously inventing vehicles, but with time he has become more of a speedster, similar to Flash. Lastly, we have Circe, the Circe of Greek myth, known for transforming Odysseus and his crew into pigs in Homer's Odyssey, also claiming to have taught Merlin every trick. Circe is like a sorcerer who constantly changes forms. In the present day, she's a party animal. Even being retreated to their mountains by the Eternals, she continued to live among humans because they're more fun. What is worth noting is that all Eternals have the same powers, at least theoretically. Any group of them can form a collective consciousness known as the Unimind. In Kirby series, Circe has often landed on the sidelines, but amongst all the Eternals, she's one who has made the biggest mark on the MCU. With her own adventures from time travel to alternate universe boyfriends. Also, not to forget, she's the only member of the Eternals who has actually served as an Avenger. If the same story gets adapted into the MCU, the premise would explain where these characters have been the past 10 years of cataclysmic and apocalyptic events, owing to their current human lifestyles. While placing the film in a more realistic, everyday world, the niche where Marvel movies have worked the best. But again, the MCU has the knack of surprising the audience and being epic, so there are chances we might get thrown into a mythology that helps us understand how its version of Earth works. Well, we cannot vouch for what might take place in the movie, but what we can vouch for is that whichever way the story comes out, it is going to be epic. After all, it's the MCU we are talking about. And this is where we bid adieu. Do not forget to comment down below and let us know if you have any insights on the Eternals. Till then, keep watching, and do subscribe to our channel.